As I said, it'd be 4.1.
Texas Governor Rick Perry has announced that he's running for the Republican nomination for president in 2012. And you're hearing it here first at Infowars.com.
Globalists stated in the 70s with the Trilateral Commission public statements that they would create a euro, as they've done. They would then create a union in North America, then larger, that they would destroy the dollar. They would then have a currency crisis that went on for several years or longer, as long as a decade, between the dollar and the euro and other competing currencies, and then have a global benchmark on a new global cashless society currency that they can fully control and manipulate.
Most probable development is bioweapon release as a way to, in the fear that ensues, reorganize society around a greater level of control.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
On Monday the 6th of August 2018, radio show host Alex Jones had his Facebook, Spotify, Apple and YouTube platforms taken down, all within the span of 12 hours. I shall now go through the justification of his termination upon each individual platform. The Infowars page, which is his brand's name, was taken off of Facebook, as well as the Alex Jones channel page, the Alex Jones page, and the Infowars Nightly News page, which are all to his claim. This all happened 6th of August at around the morning of the day. Facebook never released a statement upon the matter, none that I could find anyway, though from numerous sources who have reported on the situation, they all come down to say, "Oh shit, I've just actually found it on the shitty newsroom site." They state, "As a result, reports were received last week removed full videos on 4 Facebook pages for violating our hate speech and bullying policies. These pages were the Alex Jones channel page, the Alex Jones page, the Infowars page, and the Infowars Nightly News page. In addition, one of the admins of these pages, Alex Jones, was placed in a 30-day block for his role in posting violating content to these pages. Since then, more content from the same pages have been reported to us. Upon review, we have taken it down for glorifying violence, which violates our graphic violence policy, and using dehumanizing language to describe people who are transgender, Muslims, and immigrants, which violates our hate speech policies." So, from that statement, the main justifications made are that 1. Infowars was glorifying violence on the videos and contents they were putting up. No examples or even allusions are cited to that claim, and for them to objectively state something to be glorifying violence, I would think and hope such evidence would be in obvious and blatant terms doing so for it to be an objective accusation made upon. The other justification is that they use dehumanizing language to describe transgender people, Muslims, and also immigrants, which is a violation of the hate speech policy. Once again, for such claim to be made, Facebook must have already stated or presupposed what could be characterized as quote-unquote dehumanizing in their terms of service upon their hate speech policies to justly take down content which violates such policy. The reason why I question these grounds of removal is because a significant amount of people are just saying,
"These platforms are private companies, they can do whatever the flip they want, whenever they flip they want, whoever the flip they want to on them."
Technically, yes, that is true. But that's purely and only in a legal sense within laws we apply to currently. Morally, philosophically, and integrally, it is outright wrong, and I shall tell you why. If a platform or a company which owns a user application system withholds the omnipotence to regulate and jurisdict any single thing that is posted onto it, first off, they cannot be called platforms. By definition, they have to be labeled as publishers. There is no point giving users of such platforms their terms of service, as they completely banal to the fact that the platform can still take you and your content off anyway, regardless of whether you break the terms or not, just because they can, essentially. I have done my best, which may not be much, in fact checking these claims made against Alex Jones, and the only evidence I've come up with regarding the dehumanization of transgenders and Muslims is when Alex Jones self-exposably used the word tranny when talking about transgender people.
You will not criticize drag queens. You will not say the word tranny. Don't even use the word tranny
even in a positive light, or you're just banned. They're like, that is the God word.
He even says that's the only rationale for the accusation. For the Muslims and immigrants, Alex Jones at a point said,
Give up to the hijab, give up to Muhammad and Allah. Allah Akbar, we're going to stab your daughter at the mall. We're going to stab your wife, your son. We're going to stab you with a butcher knife. And then the police chief's going to get up and say, we love our Somalis. We love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet.
And that, according to Alex Jones, self-referencing proof by citing of the statement made when he was personally notified by Facebook of his termination was the single evidence of him using dehumanizing language against Muslims. Upon the glorification of violence, this could practically mean fucking anything to the likes of Facebook admin, since no specifics or single piece of context was given. Oh, Alex Jones said that there may be a deadly terrorist attack in the near future based on loose evidence. He's just hoping for it because he just loves to see people dead. Glorification of violence, if anything. There's no reason why that was not what it could have come down to, honestly. On to the Spotify. Spotify took down all InfoWars episodes from their podcast, with them stating for this: we take reports of hate content seriously and view any podcast episode/song flagged by our community. Due to repeated violations of Spotify's prohibited content policies, the Alex Jones Show has lost access to Spotify's platform. Keep in mind, they've just told us that they take seriously and review any episode or song that gets flagged by the community. Community meaning any user of the platform, I shall presume. From such a short action though, it may come into question, what if a large group of people who all share a common, may be justified, but expressed petulantly, animus towards specific contents they just don't like, so then decide to mass flag it in order to get it removed, regardless of if the content actually broke any rules, to receive selfish satisfaction of it being taken down. I don't know, that seems like a significant wonder to have on this current situation. In the very least though, Spotify decided to keep other Alex Jones affiliary podcasts such as The War Room and Real News with David Knight, so little thanks can be given to them for not spreading collective guilt. Once again, like Facebook, they're being extremely vague, in fact untransparent whatsoever to what has objectively been marked off as hate content unpunished upon, therefore. What did Apple have to say on the situation? They have said, Apple does not tolerate hate speech. Hate speech seems like a common phrase that keeps coming up on the issue. And hate speech, what even is that? And we have clear guidelines that creators and developers must follow to ensure we provide a safe environment for all users. Podcasts that violate these guidelines are removed from our directory, making them no longer searchable or available for download or streaming. We believe in representing a wide range of values so long as people are respectful to those with differing opinions, like how you're not with Alex Jones. You've just said you believe in the representation of a wide range of views, which includes Alex Jones, but aren't being respectful to his differing opinions, which they all come down to, just face it. These fucking companies, they present themselves as free platforms whereby they fully claim to support all types of beliefs, though meanwhile are happy to strike down any opinion which they or their associates subjectively deem unworthy to be expressed, even when such opinion poses no actual imminent violence, threat, or harassment whatsoever. The funny thing about this statement of theirs is that they say they need to provide a safe environment for all users, meaning it's their responsibility to ensure any user, probably at any time, feels safe upon the use of them. However, if say a user comes across some defamatory content that happens to be about them, or are subject to continual harassments by another user of the platform, making them feel very unsafe, thus then decide to pursue legal action, would they be able to sue the platform itself directly, since it's taken responsibility over ensuring the user's safety? No, not likely whatsoever, as these companies will fall back into claiming they're only just platforms who simply host other people's content, having no editorial control over it, when at the same time it's their self-stated responsibility to ensure a safe environment for all users, which includes regulating the content that goes up on it, so they have displayed with Alex Jones. You cannot say you are for something, then assert to be for something completely contrary to the former simultaneously. Keep up, for Christ's sake. Lastly, the censorship on YouTube. The Alex Jones channel, on which had about 2.4 million subscribers before it was taken down, was removed off of YouTube not long after the other sites had erased Alex Jones media off their pages. Specifically, YouTube said that the reason why Alex Jones's channel and fellow affiliate channels were taken down was due to the main accounts violating the community guidelines. You know, the thing about the 3 strikes are out policy if they are gotten within 3 months. One of the such strikes received by the Alex Jones channel was upon the Parkland shooting, whereby Jones alleged that the survivors were crisis actors. Thus the account was struck for malicious harassment and bullying. YouTube also justified by claiming Alex Jones circumvented their enforcement measures. They've said to have proved such because when his main channel received a strike, he was not, his channel was not allowed to stream for 90 days. Thus apparently Alex circumvented this sanction by live streaming on alternate channels that I think were allowed to live stream at the time, and are partially administered by him as well as being separate channels different to the one that was suspended from live streaming. As a result of him doing this, YouTube permanently terminated all verified accounts affiliated with Alex Jones, regardless of possible strikes obtained upon them. Alex Jones himself claimed ignorance to such policy made by YouTube upon him, quote, circumventing. It's not made efficiently clear by YouTube if the channel itself or any person who happens to be identified on a video within the channel is banned from live streaming, as they enforce a 90-day streaming ban on a channel receiving 1 strike. However, they shall completely terminate such said account and alternate streaming account if the individual from the suspended channel happens to live stream on another channel. Please, the fuck is it, YouTube? I think you're really going out of properly handled power to terminate someone from live streaming upon a channel in which you have allowed to do so, just because said person is related to a different account you have previously restricted from doing such. They lastly explained that Alex Jones received another strike prior to his ban evasion for posting 4 videos that violated YouTube's policies against child endangerment and hate speech.
Forbes and others are reporting that my YouTube videos were taken down and they're set to ban the channel. It's a big national news story to set the precedent because I attacked a 11-year-old child and that I threw them to the ground. Now, this is just completely insane and not true, but they know because the video was taken down. They know because the video was taken down that, oh, people can't see it. So we can just say whatever we want. And now the new thing is he endangers children. I bet Congressman Gates will have another hearing in a few months and he'll, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube will say, yes, Jones beats children up on video.
On the time of me recording this video, Twitter, one of the last remaining so-called platforms that did still keep up Alex Jones, went from temporarily suspending him over a tweet with a broadcast in violation of their rules to outright banning him, just for live streaming himself confronting who he thinks to be a perpetrator of his censorship. IRL. So from that marked the end of Alex Jones's existence upon the normie internet. All the companies, in which together attained for 75% of all web traffic, had in effect censored him from all their sites. In my most humble opinion, if you're going to have a company based within an area whereby the laws of the land of the nation in which the area exists in have clearly been set and enforced concerning human relations, then you as a company within the area, within the nation, become so huge, in fact monopolistic in nature, such that there is no evenly faced competition, and for the only other companies who stand a chance facing you, you instead form a trust with them, meaning you never actually actively compete but cooperate with each other to achieve high market. If then your company happens to relate and imitate to real-life interactions, such as becoming a public square for the users of it, as well as gaining independence for basic public information, as many government institutions and figures pass across public messages on sites such as Twitter, for your company to be that noteworthy and influential enough for those things to take place, you should bear responsibility and some sort of acknowledgement to the laws of the nation your company resides in, and abide in the most basic levels to them if the site happens to form a picture of where these laws are being enforced. For example, freedom of speech. In the US Constitution, that happens to be the First Amendment of it, whereby it guarantees protection of speech, expression, religion, and assembly on the legislative level. We now live in a time where most interactions take place online upon sites owned by massive companies, effectively making them the general community, if it's going to be that way. No, in fact, if the only way for somebody to press across their message to the uppermost amount of people is through online social media, once again, within the nations that they have been guaranteed the rights to do so, companies who provide the only route for such to happen should definitely respect that. Same should go for financing and commerce also, as there are plenty online sites where people's income are purely and only made from. Of course, there should be exceptions such as defamation, active violence, incitement, fraud, and theft, in which it is justified to terminate somebody's ability to utilize sites for that purpose, though it should only be in accordance to the law. In other words, what could actually get you arrested. I've heard Alex Jones is being sued over defaming the survivors of the Sandy Hook massacre, but who knows how far along that has gone. So yes, I'm all in favor of
an Internet Bill of Rights,
which should apply to all internet-based utilities, especially if they're monopolistic and face no competition, to ensure users actually know what they can and can't do, respectful to the law of the land where the headquarters of said utility resides. I'm not too keen on labeling big tech as public utilities, as I still believe in the free market, limited government, and privatization. These platforms should still be able to control their own operations, of course. A standard just needs to be set in which they obey the most fundamental laws of the place in which the company is situated, especially if they don't compete, which is what is supposed to halt these sites from doing just anything, as they could face the repercussion of agitated users fleeing to an evenly alternate site, thus depleting their own stock. Also, especially as these companies receive corporate tax breaks and lobby to their government. I have high doubts that these so-called platforms removed Alex Jones on their own personal volition. It doesn't make much sense. Alex Jones' content was quite very influential, so it must have been contributing a fairly decent amount to their corporate profit. So to just remove him because they felt like it, justifying it on things which could not make a case in the standard court, seems unkempt. I think they were pressured by external factors, the legacy media, non-governmental organizations, etc. For the legacy media, it's just about maintaining as much viewership as they possibly can on their base, because they know they're dying out. They now know there's no way for them to counter the rapid growth of alternate media through fair means, so are willing to use any other means such as no platforming to do so. They told the tech companies some generic falsehoods about the alt media rivals to justify the pressure on them to be removed, because how much do you think they'll be making if nobody longer attends to their media and instead are driven to better alternatives? NGOs want to maintain a political hegemony. They know sites like InfoWars talk upon things that are against their ideology, which in turn influences people from what they believe. Their propaganda is failing, so they must use any measure to stop alt forces from liberating their slave-minded members. That goes for some of them anyway. Both these factors try to conceal their true motives by LARPing as moral arbiters, only trying to do what's best for everyone. Finally, I should tell you why censorship doesn't work, and the unfeigned nuance for it. Some kids may describe that as the essence of it. Censorship always arises from a subjective view, meaning there's never any objective reason upon the censorship of any particular expression made. It is always a person, group of people, mob of people, echo chamber of people, who in their own personal volition react in a certain way to expressions they don't like, then happen to exert and project their subjective critique over everybody else by deeming it objectively bad. And if you even deserve to be able to think, you must agree so. Instead of allowing other people to evaluate for themselves, they completely try to shut these expressions down as it plays good only for them to do so, but believe this for everybody else is good as well, because narcissistically enough, they know better. Or sometimes they just don't care. They're quite comfortable sacrificing the rest of the world's convenience for the sake of their single own. Soon enough, these types of people grandstand and rabble upon how bad these expressions are, and why they should be eradicated, to other people, who mostly comprise of those who just don't care, and what's being claimed has no actual lifelong negative impact on themselves and other people, but cannot be fucked enough to contest, and those who are weak and spineless enough to agree and promote all that shit. Because they've been told it's a moral and virtuous thing to do such. They do this all while utterly demonizing those who happen to agree with what's being censored, and even those who neutrally just think free speech and self-evaluation is far more important, regardless of how potent an expression is. Most of the time the way is gotten and such expression gets eventually censored, at least to some extent, due to constant, never-ending nagging and harassment that the weak in power can't handle it and succumb to their impulses. I used to ask myself, what's the psyche, what's the reasoning of people who desperately need to get rid of manifested thoughts performed by others? I then realized the fact of the blatant insecurity of what they believe. Coming into contact with opposing views that happen to be more accurate, empirical, reasonable, and nuanced. Deep down, these sort of people know the views they try to censor are better than theirs, but refuse to change for themselves. Whether or not it's too hard for them or they're just so arrogant, so they end up despising such, internally subjective to them, better views and can't stand any articulation of them. Thus feel the need to destroy and eradicate them entirely, for each other and for anybody else they try to manipulate for their own selfish desires. Hence censorship. Cheers for watching, some bitches.
Aye.